learning through restrictive justice, or what approaches you might take on a regular basis at your schools. Rod, would you like to start?
I really don't agree with the restrictive justice.
Okay.
We have an understanding with our schools of when we have restrictiveness and when we don't. Number one, if they've committed a crime, I'm going to be restrictive to take them into custody. Number two, if they are a harm to themselves or others, under safekeeping. A few years ago, we had the problem where we would have a violent kid, and a lot of that has to do with some mental illness, or our crisis intervention comes in. All of our SROs are CIT trained to deal with kids, because you have kids who have autism that react totally different. Being able to learn that autism kid styles and what to do to talk them down, or Asperger's. One of our biggest problems out in Franklin County is we had the big meth problem years ago, and now we're dealing with some kids who have some mental issues that were born addicted to meth. So their brain development hasn't been good. So we're dealing with a lot of anger issues through those kids. So you've got to take a proactive approach of not being that restrictive justice. And we want those kids to be able to feel free, feel safe, and understanding. There are times where we just got to get the parents to come get them, because they're not going to, they don't want to stay there.
Sure.
I think the biggest methods that we can understand is when we, as a law enforcement agency, we have to have a good understanding with the educational process. I'm fortunate to be in a community where law enforcement, schools, EMS, and fire all get together great. And when we talk about safety of our children, to be effective, you have to have that as a whole. And we review our safety plans all together and what we do. Our biggest problem is not being able to let kids, our kids, you want to look at it, they feel like they're entitled, and it's not really entitlement. Again, they're just been brought up in a society that they want to know. That's why they ask us, or they say, I don't have to do that. Right. I don't want to be restricted to that kid. I can explain to them why we do what we do. It's important that everybody get along, because it's for everybody's safety.
Sure.
But trying to be restrictive, I think it's like putting up a barrier. And I don't think we should put up our barriers for those kids.
Okay.
And it's an uphill battle. I think it's still a learning process for all of us. It's something that's come to light. You see some people handle it differently, and some people handle it right. But
okay, good. Well, those are good insights. Thank you. I'd like to ask Deputy Heinley to comment on that, and then I'd like to go to Sergeant Glenn, please, if you wouldn't mind after that.
As SRO, we have certain rights. Once you're inside a school full time every day, you act as an administrator within inside that school even. So me as an SRO, I got, our main job there inside the school is protect those kids, and we do certain things to protect those kids. That way we have more freedom to search a car, search a locker, than as the average patrolman would. So, a lot of times when I'm dealing with a kid, I will, if we're dealing with them inside of assistant principal's office, I will just observe. I'll let the administration do the talking, do the questioning. I'll let the administration search a car, search a locker. I'll be there to guide them, towards issues. So yeah, as an SRO, we got a lot of we got some leeway with inside what we can and cannot do, which I think helps. It helps me. It helps the school, I think.
Sure.
Because our main focus, our main goal is there is to protect the kids, and that's why we tell kids, once you're on our property, we act as your parents. Our main goal is to protect you guys. So there are, there are certain things we can do that the average policeman cannot do when you're out on the streets on the weekends, stuff like that. So.
Okay, good, thank you. Sergeant Glenn, would you like to comment on that, please?
Yeah, I think that what we have to understand is, coming from a law enforcement perspective, we deal with crime, we deal with, and that our juveniles or just young individuals, but the laws are just slightly, I mean, the laws are the same, but you can't do certain things that we can with a juvenile that we can with, you know, as far as questioning and photographing. But I think one of the biggest issues is what someone spoke to it earlier about what's going on inside their homes. You know, I think there's, at least in the St. Louis public schools, they say that 1 in 4 may be homeless. So they come to school and they have issues, and here comes a safety officer or maybe some interaction with an SRO or a police officer, and you know, you don't know what they're dealing with. So one of the things we did to help kind of work with that situation is, I don't know if you're familiar with youth mental health training. It's a program where our staff, all of our security staff and some of our teaching staff would talk about the youth mental health, how to deal. It's really like conflict resolution, right? And how to deal with different situations. But I think coupled with the staff getting the training and that, and conflict avoidance and training where you talk about de-escalation techniques and things like that, and then also with the students getting this training as well, it kind of brings it all around. So, you know, you talk about, I don't know if you've heard of CPI.
Don't know that I have.
It's crisis prevention intervention.
Okay.
All those programs like crisis intervention on the police side, all of those programs come together, and I think it can make a better environment in the schools.